Hey guys, Dr. Cinema. I analyze and diagnose movies and explain them to you. And it's the 200th episode. 200 videos. Holy crap. Whew. 200. It was literally only a few months ago that, well, maybe not a few, like 6 or 7 months ago, I did my 100th video on Friday the 13th in October. And now it's Friday the 13th, it's my 200th video. That's fun. Oh, and look, it's Quache. Quache's here to help us celebrate. Oh, you have a joke? Alright, go ahead. Ha ha ha! Oh, you such a raunchy little skank. Now get the hell out of here. Well, that was a nice joke. Now, it's time to get into the big 200th video. A full play-by-play review of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Now, the Friday the 13th franchise has had sort of been kind of predictable even before the sixth film came out. The original film where Jason wasn't the killer, it was still like one of the more better slasher films to come out after Halloween, the film. Then you got parts 2, parts 3, which was in 3D, and part 4, which were fairly serviceable. Then part 5 tried to take Jason out of the franchise altogether, and that kind of got like a big backlash. So they decided to bring Jason in for the sixth film, Jason Lives, a film that has sort of become a fan favorite due to it being purposely comedic. So, is that still warranted by today's standards? Well, let's take a look with Jason Lives. So it begins with Tommy Jarvis, the kid from part 4, the guy in part 5, who is now the protagonist of part 6. He's driving up to the cemetery of Crystal Lake with his friend, and they're going to go up, try to, destroy / burn the body of Jason Voorhees, saying that Jason deserves to go to hell. First of all, I know you were in a mental institution, Tommy, for the incident in part 4, but do you really need to burn the body in order to move on? Secondly, is Jason not in hell? I mean, he's dead. Was his soul just in his body, just chilling out? Does it need to be burned to go to hell? Or was he in heaven? Was he in heaven? God, the standards really let loose. Anyway, so they get to the body, they dig him up, and they begin getting ready to burn the body. And however, lightning brings Jason back to life. And he stands there and he just sort of stares at Tommy. He just stands there, staring at him. To be fair, he died when he was like 10 years old. He got an axe to the face, a machete through the skull. To be fair, I probably will be a little bit slow reacting as well. Jason kills Tommy's friend, Tommy gets away, and we begin the opening credits with a James Bond parody opening, with us zooming in on Jason's eye, with another Jason coming out with a machete, slashing the screen, and it begins. Already, I think this might actually be fairly entertaining. So Tommy goes to the cops of Crystal Lake, where the sheriff nearly shoots his head. These are the most this is a trigger happy sheriff. That's the guy we want here. So he puts Tommy in like the jail cell there, and he says that no one wants to talk about Jason anymore. That's why he changed the town to Forest Green instead of Camp Crystal Lake. Okay, I guess name change is fine. And we get cut to a little scene where a car is driving down the road. A woman goes, I've seen enough horror films to know that a guy in a mask is not going to be friendly. And Jason's just standing right in front of the car. Yeah, it just stands there. Yeah, they tried backing up to get away. Then they tried running, try racing the car towards him, try to scare him. Jason just stands there. I, Jason, what are you doing? Are you just like, yeah, try something, bitch? Are you just really cocky now, or are you really just slow after coming back from the dead? So he kills the guy, he kills the girl, and he disappears. Oh, and when he kills the girl, there was this weird focus on an American Express card being dropped into like a pool of mud and water, which is probably the weirdest product placement I've ever seen. Well, anyway, we do cut back to the cemetery where the old caretaker is burying the grave slot where Jason came out of, and he just looks at the camera and says, "Some people have a strange idea of entertainment. Don't be funny. This is a slasher film. We're not supposed to have fun." But anyway, we cut back to the opening day of Camp Crystal Lake, or I'm sorry, Camp Forest Green, where some new counselors are there, including the sheriff's daughter, and I guess it was mentioned that Jason has only been known as a legend around these parts for the past few years. Hold up. Only a legend? I mean, sure, he wasn't in the first film or the fifth film, but parts 2, 3, and 4 took place over the same weekend. He killed like half the population. How do you think he's only a legend? Whatever, we see more Jason killing people as there's a paintball event going on with some executive people and some strange comments regarding sexism and such, which is weird. Sexism, paintball game, executive retreat. I did not expect that, but he kills them. Hell, he even takes one machete swing and take off 3 heads at once. That's actually very funny. But yeah, during this time, Tommy convinces. Actually, Tommy doesn't do any convincing. He leads the sheriff and his deputy to the cemetery to try to show him that Jason came back, but of course, the caretaker filled up the empty grave slot. So, of course, they don't believe him. And so the deputy like aims a gun at Tommy's head that has one of those like red scope dots on it, saying like wherever the red dot goes, bang. I'm just like, these are the most trigger happy cops I've ever seen. Although to be fair, they're not going to kill Tommy because of his skin color. They're going to kill him because they think he's crazy. Just kidding. They're not actually going to kill him. They're just trying to drive him out of town so that way that he can leave the town alone. But again, at least they're not going to kill him because of the color of his skin. We were more progressive back in 80s films. Anyway, we cut back to again. Jason killing people. A couple's nearby. They hear him chopping up. The guy goes to see what's going on. He sees Jason just killing. He's like, duh, this isn't what it looks like. Like, that was like the look of like what was happening when the guy saw Jason just hacking away at the guy. It's like, this isn't what it looks like. Wait, what am I talking about? I'm fucking Jason. Kills the guy, kills his girlfriend, and we come back to the new Camp Forest Green. Counselors trying to have fun with the kids, including the sheriff's daughter, again, who's one of the counselors there. And then we cut to night, see the kids sleeping in their bed, in the boys' cabin over here, in the girls' cabin over... Wait a minute. That girl was reading No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre? He's an existentialist philosopher. Why is a 10-year-old girl reading a book of writing by an existentialist philosopher? I'm sure there were kids are probably smarter than their age, even back in the 80s, but that is weird to see in an 80s slasher film. But a girl screams in the cabin, which gets the attention of one of the female counselors to come in and see what's going on. It's not the same girl that was reading the Existentialist book because when the counselor said that she was probably just having a bad dream, she's like, no, it was real, just like on TV. Just like on TV? What? I mean, do you think everything you watch on TV is real? Do you think that everything you read is real? I mean, obviously you don't read existentialist writings, but do you? I mean, granted, Supergirl has some good stuff. I mean, there's real emotion in these fictional characters, but it's still all fiction. You don't think there's an actual Supergirl in the world, do you? That girl needs some learning. Oh, and by the way, the girl's name is Nancy. I think that's a little Easter egg shout out to the Elm Street movies, which have the main girl named Nancy. Which makes sense considering the fact that for the 7th film they wanted to do a crossover but didn't. Anyway, so we cut back to the only male counselor at this camp who's went off to have sex with some other girl in her RV, having sex with clothes on. Yeah, the girl's wearing the clothes on. The only titties we see in the scene are from the guy. Unless this is Batman and Robin, I don't want to see male tits. That made me sound like I was praising Batman and Robin, which I'm not. Anyway, so they begin driving the RV back to her brother's father's house, I guess. But of course, Jason is on board. And he somehow manages to kill the girl while this male counselor is just driving the RV while listening to, hold on, I've got the song that this male counselor is listening to while driving the RV. I don't listen to a lot of Alice Cooper, but I really like that song. So he kills the male counselor driving the car. The RV does some flipping. It lands on its side. It kind of bursts on fire, and Jason's just standing on top of the burning RV. I'm not gonna lie, that was a really cool shot. Anyway, cut back to Tommy Jarvis, who has managed to get back to the town, Crystal Lake, where he managed to have all these books in his car. One of them, something along the lines of a manual of the occult, trying to figure out how to kill Jason. And Jason, we see, is made it back to the camp, but then we cut back to Tommy, who manages to meet up with the sheriff's daughter. What's her name? Damn it, what's her name? Do I have it in my notes? I don't. Oh, Megan. Megan. That was the name of the sheriff's daughter in the film. She's played by Jennifer Cook. I know this because in this film, she's hot. And she's smiling in almost every scene. She's hot. Anyway, so Megan helps Tommy by having him get in her car as they try to go to the camp. And they pass by a sign that says speeding with question mark above and below the word what. And they are being chased by some police who think that Tommy is the killer. And so she has him duck his head down into her lap. And whenever Tommy tries to look up, he just stares at her crotch. Which, I'm not complaining. But of course they get caught. Tommy is thrown in the jail cell. Megan is forced to stay there under the supervision of the deputy while the sheriff goes to the camp to try to figure out what's going on. And And we cut back to the camp. In the girl's cabin, Jason's just standing over a little girl. Oh wait, let me back up a little bit. So the child that says it's real just like on TV went over to the counselor's cabin asking the female counselor to figure out what's going on, I guess, because she found a bloody machete near her cabin. And so they decided to go out to look for the other counselors that weren't in the counselor cabin. And Jason's just staring at them like, that little bitch took my machete. So he's in the cabin now. He's just standing over the child, just staring at her. I'm just like, is he gonna kill her? A part of me wants me to see him kill this girl. But of course he doesn't. He disappears. And we see the police show up at the camp. One of them is down looking for anything suspicious by the beach, where Jason just throws a knife, I think it is, and just instantly kills that cop. And he finds another cub and just crushes his head. And of course, the sheriff stand face to face as sheriff shoots Jason. He falls down, tries to get back up, shoots him again, falls down, tries to get back up again, shoots him, falls down, and gets back up for good this time. Jesus, Jason, you are just taking every punishment that they throw at you, aren't you? Of course, he ends up killing the sheriff. Yay! So Megan tells all of the kids to hide under their beds and do not come back up until she comes back. And one of the boys is just like, well, we're screwed. And the other kid's like, well, what were you going to be when you grew up? That was actually kind of funny. Anyway, so Tommy and Megan are, like I said, now at the camp. And they begin setting things up to try to kill Jason, with Tommy wrapping a chain around this big heavy rock and fixing up where it'll strangle Jason to death as the rock falls down to the bottom of the lake. And Megan's, of course, with the kids hiding in a cabin. And of course, Jason crashes through the door like the Kool-Aid Man. Oh yeah! But of course, Tommy yells at Jason, calls him an asshole, chicken shit, and a pussy. And I can imagine Jason being like, nobody calls me chicken. And just walks into the water where Tommy is in the boat, waiting for him to put the chain around Jason's neck and make him drown. Oh, but that reminds me, canoe hat. Canoe hat, because Tommy's in a boat. So Jason ends up going underwater to try to get a sneak attack on Tommy, but Tommy pours gasoline around his boat and sets it on fire, because that's how it works. Jason pops up, they struggle a little bit, Tommy puts the chain around Jason's neck, and he throws the rock in the water, but Jason drags Tommy down with him. There's a bit of an underwater struggle, but Megan comes out into the water, gets on the little motorboat, and uses it to pretty much knock Jason unconscious, or at least get him to let Tommy go, and they get back to land. Where, of course, Tommy, is still alive. His famous ending lines are, "It's finally over, Jason's home." And we get a little shot underwater where Jason's eyes are still open, but of course he's not moving. And that's the end of the film. So, how does it hold up? I can totally see why this is a fan favorite. The makers of this film definitely wanted to do a far more comedic route than the past 5 films, which was basically their condition for making Jason the killer again in the franchise. And it did fairly well commercially speaking. It made ultimately $19 million against a $3 million budget. And while, of course, film critics didn't really praise the film, they do admit that it's probably one of the better films come out of the franchise. Even Gene Siskel of Ebert and Siskel said that even though this franchise is the most offensive film franchise ever, this is the least offensive installment. First of all, that's a high compliment from him. Secondly, really, Friday the 13th is the most offensive film franchise? Have you seen the Michael Bay Transformers films? I mean, they suck. But of course, this probably existed before Jack and Jill existed, so of course he couldn't really bash Adam Sandler because he wasn't a thing. And of course, this became arguably the greatest film installment of the franchise, which I agree with. I mean, it takes a far more comedic route, it's a little bit self-aware, and it had some meta humor, which I'm now only realizing could have been influence on the creation of Deadpool. He didn't exist until 1991. This came out in the mid-80s, and it had fourth wall breaking humor. You see the connection, right? But anyway, this was definitely one of the most entertaining slasher films I've seen that, while not exactly scary, was still one of the most entertaining slasher films I've ever seen. So, it, for the most part, still holds up. And if you're interested in checking out this infamous film, go right ahead and do it. And that is my 200th video. And I really don't know what much else to say other than thank you guys for watching my videos, for being subscribers. If you're not subscribed, subscribe down below. I want to continue making more videos for as long as reasonably possible. And Dr. Cinema. This is Teenage Frankenstein. See you next time.